So, guys, I'm on my constant quest of knowledge, which is generally being guided to me by angels. And I had a dream, and in the dream, I was given a letter. This is an actual dream that happened last week, and in the dream, I was given a letter, and I opened it up, and it was an old letter, and it was from my great grandmother, and it said, "Dear Sophia, you are the chosen one. We knew this day would come. Read these books." So it gave me the name of two books. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. and recorded a voice note so that I didn't forget the name of the books. Anyway, the next day I found one book on in Oxfam and the other one online. So these books actually existed. They came in different volumes. Anyway, so I'm studying one now. So I'm guided to certain truths. So there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of the books, a lot of the things that you know and read and listen to from whether they're scientists, scholars, or prophets are fake or have been changed for the benefit of whoever was in power at the time, which makes sense. So I've been guided to a lot of things. Some of the things I've been guided to was the truth about Islam. I was born into Islam, and that I never sat quite comfortably with Muhammad ever. I never liked him because of the things, to me, as my soul knew that no prophet could physically take a knife and kill, or a sword and kill many people as Muhammad did. And there was no witness to him receiving the holy book. And there were no miracles that were witnessed that he had done. Ask any Muslims of the miracles and they'd say he wrote the Quran and he didn't know how to read or write. But there were no witnesses. Anyway, let's go back to this. So I'm going to like us to meditate on what this says here on 50 there. This is a complex text. It's an ancient text, which certain people will understand and others won't if it's in your ancient DNA. But there is something which I think will resonate with a lot of you because we're all connected. So let's just read 50 there. It says, Arjun Vive is so defiled by original sin that it floweth with a double infection. The first it hath contracted from the polluted earth, which hath mixed itself therewith in the generation of Argent Vive, and by congelation hath cleared thereunto the second borders upon the dropsy, and is the corruption of the intersutal water proceeding from thick impure water mixed with the clear, which nature was not able to squeeze out and separate by constriction, but because it is intrinsic, it flies off with a gentle heart. You can continue to read the rest, but let's look at the original sin. Argent Vive is so defiled by original sin. Now, original sin is what? Most people will think it's Eve eating the apple in the garden, when in actual fact, that was never a sin, because the apple came from the tree of knowledge. So even the so-called God in the Bible, which isn't the real God, by the way, he said, don't eat of the tree of knowledge, otherwise you're going to die. Well, they didn't die. And the tree was called the tree of knowledge, so all it can do is impart knowledge. And it says, and the snake said, eat of the tree so that you may know good from bad. And that's a good thing to know. So the snake and the apple were serving something good. Anyway, so you can see this book has little appendice notes. So we're going to go to the appendice notes here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Here we go, 39. So the original sin, and we reference what that means. And this means adulteration and impurity from its mineral origin. So you guys are probably thinking, unless you are accustomed to ancient text and unless it's in your soul, You guys are thinking, what does that mean? You know what the original sin is? Like when I look at this and it says, because this is philosophy, and it's all about investigation into our ancient minds, past lives, if you've got that access. So it's about the great minds. And this is a text which has also been studied by Isaac Newton and other greats. Oops. So if we see there again, it says, adulteration, impurity from its mineral origin. Now, to me, that means the origin of us. The original sin is putting impurity to the origins of us. So in my journey so far, where I've traveled the world to Egypt, ancient Greek cities, and many, many places, Mecca, you name it, I believe the original sin was to corrupt the origins, our origins, to make us think that our origins are something else. And that makes us impure, because it's not our fault, but the water becomes murky because the murky water was mixed with our purity, so that we may not know ourselves in our pure form. And to know yourself in your pure form is to know truth. And to know truth is to know thyself as God. So the waters were muddied or murkied with the original sin of lies that are presented to us as truth, as our history, as in the religious texts, which were the same analogy we can use of pure water with muddy water mixed in, so that water still exists. However, there are impurities in this water which cannot give us the taste of the pure water and the health and the longevity and the abundance that water brings and life-giving that it brings. Instead, the impurities have made us forget on purpose who and what we are and our nature and our origins. And in forgetting that, we lose a lot of our power. So we are argent vive. We are the ones who were defiled by this and infected, it says. So it says here, which has mixed itself there within the generation of argent vive, and by congelation hath cleaved thereunto. So there's a corruption of intercutial water proceeding from thick and impure waters mixed with the clear, which nature was not able to squeeze out. So what I want you to understand on the philosophical nature and on the truth of yourself is that the original sin is to make you forget who you are. And if you understood that your roots and the truth lay in the stories of the Greek myths and Greek gods and the Egyptian gods, then you would know you are immortal. Then you would know that we are each other. That you would know that you are served by gods like Goddess Isis, who is Allah, who is the sister of and mother of Christ, and Osiris and Horus. So these are the truths. The truths of gods like Venus, the goddess Venus, who is also a planet, so we correspond to the planets and still on the earth. I'll leave that for your contemplation. And if it's woken something in your brain, may that lead you further into the truth. Because every seed of recognition in your soul will lead to the truth. The white rose, the golden orchid, and the lily. Let that be an ignition in your pineal, in your mind, in your heart. I love you. Namaste. Shalom. Salam.